Welcome, everybody, to Roster United. I am Ethan.
And I am Rick with another's PennyWorth's post.
Wonderful. We have another amazing update here on the campaign. A couple of updates, nothing too big. So let's just jump right into it. Could you give us the stats?
Yeah, it seems a little slower campaign so far for, I think, maybe the best version they're going to have, at least mechanics-wise. But we're at $777,998 with 6,791 backers. That's as of July 14th, 12:10 midnight Eastern time. That's where we're at with stats-wise.
Very nice. Now, there are a couple of updates with that. There's 2 updates only. Very slow, but we got 2 at least. So today we're going to give you the little update on that. First off, we have Ra's al Ghul, obviously a very famous Batman villain. You might know him from the first Batman Begins movie, which is played by the actor that has played too many roles in his lifetime. But he is Ra's al Ghul, very fun, interesting character. Could you maybe, just give us a little depth? What does the update give us here?
Ra's al Ghul, of course, is the leader of the League of Shadows in the movies. Kind of a society that tries to keep mankind in check. Really, the League of Assassins is what they are in the comic books. And they do different things if a city gets out of control or too corrupt, or a society does. They kind of kill it from within. So he's the leader of that. One of the henchmen that came with this are Talia al Ghul, which is his daughter, who's also in the comics and even suggested in the movies a little bit, is kind of a love interest of Batman a little bit. And Batman, wants to bring Batman into the League of Assassins, but Batman, of course, resists that push. We also have Fadir Nasser, which is another key villain for them. And this adds a place as well. They have the Lazarus Pit, which is going to be, that's put on top of the different, sorry about that, I'm a little off-center here. Lazarus Pit goes on top of the locations along with the thugs. So we got Lady Shiva, Tal al Ghul, and also Fadir Nasser are the thugs that are going to come with this particular villain that we'll be fighting against.
That is very cool, and of course, and it also seems like the dashboard Ra's al Ghul has a villainous, obviously a villainous plot, but also has a villainous track as well. So I assume you have to run to the races with to fight and beat against that villain. It's going to be very fun indeed to play against him. We unlocked him, and we just went past another update today, very slowly, but we finally got there. We have this guy, the fastest drawl in the West. I am talking about good old Jonah Hex. Now, Jonah Hex, supposedly, is he a popular character? I don't think I've heard of him that much, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty popular in the comic books. He's kind of like an Old West, if I want to remember right, like, sold his soul after they killed his family kind of guy. And, he was a victim of child abuse and a slave to the Apaches. So he had just a terrible life. And then, again, he kind of got like some kind of demon powers or something curiously there. And he's kind of he's a violent character in the comic books. But he's a good guy. Like, he does what he thinks is right, and only, to protect the good people. So he's famous. There was a movie before, maybe even a sequel that came out, that was with, Josh Brolin was Jonah Hex, and it was kind of widely panned, and I think it had a cult following. So anyway, not necessarily like the biggest name that they could have came out with. It would have been different to see a couple of cooler villains maybe, or even some heroes, but that's the guy that's out there next. I think he has a pretty good cult following. I'll admit that he's just not something I've ever read in the comics much.
No, that's fine. And sometimes these heroes that you might not know so well is something you might get interested. Oh, I don't know who Jonah Hex is, but when the game brings him or brings these other characters that you don't know, you tend to try to search them up, see what they do, their abilities and things like that. Because obviously in the game, personally, what I've seen is they make these cool heroes they make these heroes that no one knows and turns them into something cool. So, for example, for Jonah Hex, just really quickly, he has a special setup there, setting up the bounty. Which has a little special rules and things like that. He even has his little holster, quick draw holster, equipment card. He has 2 bounty tokens. It's very interesting how he's going to be played out. I assume he's going to be trying to hunt down certain enemies and maybe even dealing extra damage when you use a certain card if that villain or henchman has that target on it. I assume maybe something like Spider-Man Noir or something like that. Yeah. So that's going to be very fun to see how you can throw down those target tokens and trying to just play with them. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they always do a really good job of trying to make each character thematic, but that's really it as far as an update goes for this week, for tonight. If we sound a little odd, we are traveling this week a little bit, visiting some family, heading to a wedding. We're committed, though, to bringing updates. We're going to try and get them done nightly as much as possible. You might hear either Ethan or I moving forward due to just the way our travel arrangements are working out these next few days, but we do plan to give an update. But I'm still excited about all the stuff we've read. There was a release. An in-depth update was given on the core box characters, a little bit more about Superman and Batman, and again, we'll try and bring some of that information a little bit later as the campaign, maybe more so if the campaign's, kind of slowing up a little bit. We'll see what CMOD does to breach it. And again, just a reminder, everybody, this is on GameFound. Yeah. If you're going to Kickstarter, you might have trouble finding it. You got to go to the GameFound crowdfunding website to find DC United.
Yeah, and again with the in-depths on the core box, that'll also give us maybe some info on how this set will come into play later on. What are some of the new things and stuff like that. There's the new texts and new colors on the cards, which seem very interesting. Probably has something to do with timing or the way you play certain cards. Or now I'm really excited with the Jonah Hex with the special. Or Hex, excuse me, not Hicks, Hex, with special setup and special rules for that hero character. That's going to bring, I assume that's going to be in a lot more other characters. That's going to bring some different strategies and things like that. It's going to be very fun. I can't wait. And of course, we'll definitely talk more about the core box. This GameFound is really slower. It's been a lot slower than probably expected than any of the other campaigns, and that's okay.
You follow a lot. If you follow a lot, this is by Marvel United standards. It's slow, right? $1 million. It's almost $1 million. $1 million, and it still has almost over 2 weeks to go.
Yeah,
$1 million for a board game Kickstarter is amazing.
It's really good.
So, we're expecting fast, and it looks like maybe they just don't have as much for this set. Not sure. Looks like, and I got to go back and research the Marvel ones a little bit. We're between $40,000 now to get a new character each time. And they tweak that. At the beginning it's like 20, so you get characters fast, and it goes up to 30. Seems like we got to 40 a little faster this time. So again, I don't know if they're slowing the roll. In this kit, they're adding pledge levels as you go, and then of course at some point there's an all-in, and a lot of people just kind of sit back and wait for that all-in pledge, so they know how much it is and they just dump on that instead of having to update the pledge with a bunch of money every time. So maybe that's contributing to it too. I don't know.
And of course, since this is a campaign that will last around 30 days or so, again, it is going to be some slower days. Some days we're going to get expansions and things like that, and we're going to really go into detail with it. It just happens to be that right now we've only unlocked one character. One character is trying to get unlocked, which is a Hex, and we just have to do what we can, and if by some some way, somehow, there is no update or there's no new characters to unlock, we'll still try to go in depth with some of the other things. There were some challenges in there, some new superhero and supervillain cards. We'll explain what those do. There's also, I believe, the in-depth, right, with the core box and things like that. We'll really take our time to go through those as well. But in the meantime, that is it for the update. We hope you enjoyed this episode, although it was surprisingly a lot shorter than our last episode, which was almost an hour. And this one we're cutting to 11 minutes, right? Or almost to 11 minutes right now. That's awesome. So, but we'll keep updating you guys, and we'll be very excited to continue forward with it.
Adios.
Adios. I hope you have a great time. Take care.